Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're diving into something we all struggle with, the sheer power of intentional communication versus, well, those impulsive reactions we usually end up regretting. I mean, you've probably fired off a text message in anger, right? Or blurted out a response that made you instantly wince? Yeah, we've all been there for sure. So, we're not just looking at how to talk today, we're literally breaking down the architecture of communication. It's like a map, tracing the journey from the thoughts bubbling in our heads down to the feelings in our hearts, and finally out to the words that actually leave our lips. So before reacting to a situation, or honestly before passing judgment on anyone, we've really got to hit the pause button. We need to ask ourselves a pretty deep question. Are our thoughts, our words, and our intentions actually aligned? Sounds incredibly simple, doesn't it? But think about how often we completely skip this step. Usually our thoughts are just racing, our emotions are running hot, and the words, they just kind of spill out to match the heat of the moment. But true communication absolutely requires alignment. If your goal is to resolve a conflict, but your words are laced with sarcasm and you're feeling defensive, well, you're totally misaligned. This is our baseline. If these three pieces, thoughts, words, and intentions, aren't in perfect harmony, the whole communication structure is going to fracture.
Moving right along to section 1, the cost of impulse, reacting versus responding.
See, when we simply react, there's real-world collateral damage. Speaking purely from a sudden emotional impulse rather than using our clear intellect, it sets off this massive ripple effect of destruction. First up, it causes totally unnecessary problems. Seriously, think about how many huge arguments start, not because of the actual issue, but because of a harsh tone or some hasty words thrown around. Next, it inevitably leads to hurt feelings. We're talking about emotional scars that take a really long time to heal. And finally, and this is perhaps the biggest bummer, it leads to missed opportunities. A super defensive reply in a meeting could literally cost you a promotion. An angry outburst, boom, a friendship is gone. The source text hits the nail on the head here. When we let sudden impulses drive the bus, we are the ones who pay the steepest price. No question. Which brings us to section 2, quality over quantity, the true value of speech. So here's the thing. True impact doesn't come from the sheer volume of our words. It comes entirely from the deliberate value of what we actually choose to say. We fall into this trap all the time, right? The volume trap. We think that talking more, or dominating a conversation, or having to get the absolute last word in means we're winning. But actually, scratch that, it doesn't work that way at all. We live in a world that's obsessed with noise. But true power, that lies in value. When our minds are clear and we carefully weigh our words, our communication can spark a massive positive shift. It's not about how much oxygen you take up in a room, it's about the weight and the absolute truth of the words you selectively choose to release. Because when you actually select the right words, the results are a total game changer. Just a handful of genuine words, spoken straight from the heart, have the power to do 3 huge things. First, they build deep trust. When someone senses you're being intentional and real with them, their guard instantly drops. Second, heartfelt words heal emotional wounds. An authentic, perfectly timed "I'm sorry" or "I get it" can literally stitch up a relationship you thought was completely ruined. And third, these words can breathe life into someone's dream. Think back for a second. Remember a teacher or a mentor who looked you in the eye and said, "I believe in you. You've got this." I bet those few words changed the entire trajectory of your life. That right there is the ultimate return on investment for choosing your words wisely. And that perfectly highlights this core quote from our source material: kind, honest words reach places arguments and criticism never can. It is a profound truth. As humans, we are literally wired to defend ourselves. When you come at someone swinging with an argument or hit them with sharp criticism, their psychological shields go up in a split second. And logic? It usually just bounces right off those shields. But kindness, honesty, those are basically skeleton keys to human connection. They bypass those heavy defensive walls completely. They slip right past the ego and land straight in the heart. So if you genuinely want to change someone's mind, a kind, honest approach is just infinitely more effective than picking a fight. Okay, on to section 3, redefining communication strength, the power of the pause. Let's challenge a huge societal misconception here about what a strong communicator actually looks like. We've totally been conditioned to think that if someone challenges us, we have to fire back instantly to look strong. But the source material reframes this so beautifully. Taking a moment before speaking is not a sign of hesitation. It doesn't mean you lack confidence. Actually, it's a definitive hallmark of maturity. It shows profound internal strength, proving that you are in control of your emotions rather than your emotions controlling you. And honestly, it shows mutual respect.
When you pause, you're silently telling that other person, hey, I value this interaction enough to actually think about my response to you.
And that leads us to a pretty stark realization about leadership. We've all worked with the loudest in the room, right? That person who interrupts, constantly talks over people, and practically shouts to be heard. But let's be real, does anyone actually listen to them? No way. Now, compare that to the most influential. These leaders purposefully align their intellect and their kindness in every single interaction. They're the ones who might sit totally quiet for 20 minutes during a chaotic meeting. They're listening, they're processing, they're pausing. But then, when they finally speak, the entire room goes dead silent because everyone wants to hear what they have to say. That is what true influence looks like.
Let's bring it all together in Section 4, the blueprint for influence, aligning your communication.
All right, so here is the exact architecture we've been talking about, building from the inside out. Step 1, it all starts in the mind. You have to cultivate positive thoughts and really clear out that mental clutter. Step 2, move down to the heart. Nurture a kind heart and make sure your intentions are in the right place. Step 3, this is where the external action happens. Choose meaningful words that accurately reflect that clear mind and that kind heart we just talked about. And when you do this, when you consciously align these internal and external pieces together, you trigger step 4. You literally elevate yourself from just swapping data with someone to becoming a true inspiration to everyone around you. People are going to notice the shift in your energy. They will absolutely feel the weight of your intentionality.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to let this final thought sink in. The most powerful words in the world aren't the ones spoken first. They are the words spoken with the right purpose at the right time. So as you step away from this and head into your next difficult conversation, maybe that's later today, maybe it's tomorrow, just remember that true power isn't about rushing to get the first word in. It's about having the strength to pause, align your thoughts and your heart, and speak with the exact right intention at the exact right moment. So I'll leave you with this. What will your next words build?